My name is Taylor Jackson, aka Lilbro Taylor, and with another season of Hard Knocks drama on and off the field upon us, Apollo Media is here to take you off the gridiron. Isn't that right, Noah? What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to another installment of Off the Gridiron, an NFL podcast presented by Apollo Media. I am Taylor Jackson with my co-host here, Noah Outlaw.
What's going on?
Texans preseason has officially come to a close.
Sure has.
Undefeated.
How
about that?
That's big. It's not actually big, obviously. You know, I think that I even read something the other day that I think any team that's ever gone 0-16 went 3-0 in the preseason. So that's not awesome, you know, to hear that. But not saying we're going to go 0-16, but you know, there are a lot of things in those preseason wins that I did like.
Yeah, I mean, there was, for instance, Houston may have found a dude in Dameon Pierce.
Absolutely. Dameon Pierce against San Francisco really only played one drive, had 6 rushes, 37 rushing yards, and a touchdown. Just great. And the way his vision on the field, the way he makes his cuts, he can just go anywhere. And also the offensive line, you know, was great too. So
yeah, Kenny Green.
Yeah.
Getting some push on there.
Absolutely. Yeah, he got like Davis Mills talked about this in his press conference after the game, but he had like Kenyon had like a pancake on his first play.
Absolutely what you love to see.
Absolutely. But yeah, Dameon Pierce is great, and he's shooting up a lot of fantasy boards. I've noted.
Yeah. Late rounder, like not even mid to late. He's gonna be the guy. Marlon Mack is not going to be your starting running back. No. The old horse had his days, but
yeah. Marlon will get some carries. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Workload is workload.
Yeah. Marlon will get some carries, and he'll maybe be a little bit productive, but everything we've seen from Dameon Pierce, he's the RB1. Even if Lovie Smith doesn't want to say it, Dameon Pierce has definitely, you know, made his case for.
Well, something I've kind of learned throughout my years, especially in watching from a fantasy perspective, is when you're looking at a dual running back committee, each other's success is kind of determined on the other one.
Yeah.
You know, whenever Kareem Hunt gets rolling, all of a sudden Nick Chubb has some holes that open up for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think if you want one to succeed, you got to be rooting for the other one.
Absolutely.
And Lovie Smith, even though he hasn't come out and said this, from how little...
Oh my God!
Whoa, live right now? Did we just come
never
on?
mind. Never mind.
That's right.
Okay, well, Marlon Mack's no longer on the team. That's such an interesting move. Why? Okay, so I guess we'll get back to what we were talking about in a minute, but
okay, Dameon Pierce is officially that guy now.
Yeah, 100%. But also, this is a weird move. Unless I don't know what the contracts look like. Maybe that has something to do with it, but. Rex Burkhead is not as good as Marlon Mack, in my opinion. Like, so now we're going with Rex Burkhead and Dameon Pierce. I thought Rex was going to be the guy to get cut on this team. What do you think about this Marlon Mack move?
I don't know. Is Dameon Pierce about to be getting 90% of the carries?
I guess. I mean, it's him, it's the young guy, and it's old Rex Burkhead. So I have no idea. Marlon, that's kind of.
I was kind of excited. I thought that was a nice complimentary. You know, the vet and the rook.
I literally right before that. Thank you, producer Garrett back there. But like, I literally was about to say like I'm excited to see that Marlon Mack Dameon Pierce combo.
Yeah, what the fuck, Garrett?
God damn it, dude. No, well, all right. Well, so Marlon Mack's no longer on the team, so we're the Texans. Yeah, so that definitely means that Dameon Pierce is going to get a heavy workload. Which is interesting because he didn't have that at Florida. He like one thing Florida, their fan base always complained about was how they didn't use Dameon Pierce enough. He didn't have a ton of carries, and I think that's honestly why he wasn't talked about as much as guys like Breece Hall in this past draft and was taken in the 4th round. When honestly, seeing him right now, he might have been a 2nd round running back. You know what I mean?
With this cut, I start to think: are they going to try to keep him in between the tackles much more? Like, is he gonna be a
probably? I mean, I could see
because that's the role I envisioned Mac being.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't. Dameon Pierce, yeah, for sure. He's definitely gonna be an in between the tackles guy. But I think he's just going to be everything on this team. I think he's going to be pretty much every aspect of this run game.
What a strange move.
Very
move.
strange. I want to look.
I mean, he is the truth, though. He is the truth. That's from how little they played him in preseason. You knew very soon that they believed in him.
Yeah, absolutely. And
what was it? The first preseason game after like a drive and a half? They're like, no, "Hey, sit down, kid."
Yeah, they were like,
Sit
"All
down."
right, we don't need to." Yeah, and I mean, people talked about him a lot at camp, at OTAs, at training camp. They were talking about Dameon Pierce looks good. The first preseason game he came in, he balled. They were like, They didn't even play him in the second game. He didn't get a single snap in the second game, and then he got one drive in week 3 of the preseason
and looked great,
which he had 37 rushing yards in a touchdown. Just phenomenal, and the runs were great too.
He's got incredible cutting.
Yeah, it's insane. Al Michaels, that his old ass was freaking out. He was like, "Dameon Pierce, look at him!" Like he was. It was so fun to watch. That was by far. Dameon Pierce was a guy I was excited for. I thought he had potential. I was like, this guy looks like he could be the dude. But man, I honestly wasn't expecting it to be this quick.
The way he runs the ball reminds me a lot of like a rookie Chris Johnson.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Chris Johnson was my boy.
Dude, like, at any time he could be a scat back, but he's just running it down your throats and making them sharp cuts that outside linebackers can do nothing against.
Wow, yeah. God. I'm still also shaken up by this Marlon Mack news. I'm a little.
So perhaps this means that they plan to spread out the offense quite a bit more. Have Cooks there, probably working slot. I don't see him going to outside. Nico's going to be the outside guy, but who do we have as that third set? Are we going to run some two tight end sets?
I guess. I mean, we do have we have Farrell Brown. We have Brevin Jordan, our tight ends, and we also drafted in the 5th round, I believe, Tegan Quintonorio or Quinton. I still don't know how to say his last name, and I do apologize. I mean, we were set to pay Marlon a total of $2 million. His roster bonus was $500,000. So his signing bonus was $250K, and
so it's just like 1.2 left on the table.
Basically. And let me look at Rex Burkhead's though. Sorry, this is kind of off the cuff here, but I want to see because maybe the Rex Burkhead's contract just has to be much better, I guess. Paying him 1.6. So
I'm sure we'll get more news within the coming week or so. But then again, we may not because the Texans seem like a team that's in a position that they don't really have to explain themselves at the moment.
True.
Nobody's pressing too hard on these.
And it also could have been a thing that Marlon just wasn't. Rex was here last year. Maybe that's what it went into. And like Rex had a good role. He didn't have a great crazy year. He didn't put up crazy numbers. But whenever we needed him to do something, he was there. He was definitely the most reliable out of Philip Lindsay. You know what I mean? If Philip Lindsay or Mark Ingram was here for 6 weeks last year, but I don't know. It's interesting. Maybe Marlon just wasn't really, meshing with the team. It could have been simple as that, but
it doesn't seem like a guy that would have any problems.
Not at all. He seemed
like a leader.
He seemed like good out there at camp too. He's talking about how he feels great. He feels like his 2019 self, which he ran for 1,000 yards in 2019. So who knows? But Marlon Mack will probably get picked up by somebody,
somebody will.
Somebody is gonna pick him up, even if he doesn't get a lot of
fantasy alert. Marlon Mack is on the move.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, we'll move on. Dameon Pierce is the guy. We know that.
Yeah.
Can't wait. I do want to talk about Davis Mills.
Yeah, Mills season, baby.
Yeah, D Millie, as the Texan social media team calls him.
D Millie.
D Millie.
I like it.
That's
I like it. We'll roll with it.
Coined. Yeah. Money Mills is cool. I still like Money Mills a little more, but D Millie will work. But in his 3 preseason games, he threw 2 touchdowns, 168 yards on 30 attempts, and he threw 1 interception that wasn't really his fault. It was like the receiver bobbled it in the end zone, and then it was tipped a lot, and then they got picked. But
I always feel like for a quarterback, once that first point of contact happens on a ball, that's no longer your fault.
Yeah, I agree.
As soon as that gets tipped, as soon as your receiver puts a finger on it, that's his responsibility.
which I don't remember who the receiver was. I should know that.
I think it was Nico.
Was it Nico?
I think so.
That would make sense. I was thinking it was either him or Chris Moore, but I'm not sure. Chris Moore,
another dude that could be coming up on, if they decide to spread out that offense.
Absolutely. Chris Moore was a guy last year that no one really talked about, and I'm kind of interested to see what he does because he seemed to have good chemistry with Davis, and especially in that New England game. Chris Moore just makes crazy catches. Like he'll just, Davis, especially in that New England game, which I think was week 4 last year, maybe 3 or something. He wasn't throwing a lot of great passes, still fresh into the league. But Chris was kind of bailing him out on some stuff, and I was surprised more people didn't talk about him. But anyways,
he does know how to snag it. He snags it in the same way that Wilson for the Jets that just got drafted. Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, he does.
Just contorts his body in weird positions and just is able to reach balls that other guys can't.
Which I hope he makes the team. And I'm gonna keep checking my phone to see.
Yeah, apparently we're making cuts right now.
Let's see. Anyway, Davis Mills, Lilbro, we have no idea. It's the preseason. Where the offense is very vanilla. They're not calling their best stuff. Pep Hamilton's not going out here and showing everybody his plays. But what you saw from Davis, do you have more faith or less faith in him going into this season?
I think I'm still baselining on where we left off last season. I think the success of this offense is really going to be determined on Mills' ability to pinpoint balls out by the sidelines.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of teams aren't going to respect the Texans' ability to move the ball down the field.
Yeah.
So in that regard, they're going to be pressing everything a little bit more inside. If he can start dropping some balls in some buckets, it's going to make them respect that a little bit more, open up the running lanes. You won't have outside backers with their fucking nose on the line.
Right.
They're going to have to. So a lot of this is going to come up with Davis Mills' accuracy.
I agree 100%. That's the same thing I was going to say. I'm liking Davis's poise. I'm liking. It seems like he goes through his progressions well, and he knows who can hit and who to hit and when to throw it. But his accuracy is something that was been off a little bit in the preseason.
And we definitely saw that in training camp.
There was
the sideline throws for me was what I was making a big note of. It seemed like he had a lot of trouble making those throws, especially the ones he had to put on a rope.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree. And we saw that in the preseason as well. And also, one thing I'm hoping is that it's just something, it's getting reps. It's getting reps with his guys. It's also one thing he kind of seemed to tighten it up as he went along through these preseason games, especially in week 2, I believe is what it was. There were some passes week 2 of the preseason that were just pretty terrible, not even close to the target. But then whatever he needed to start making these plays, he had Philip Dorsett for like a 25-yard bomb there on the sidelines. It was it was like toe drag swag. It was
which is what you need.
It was 100%. And then there was that back corner of the end zone touchdown to Nico that wasn't, exactly where Nico needed it, but it was close enough, and Nico ended up coming down with it. So I'm just hoping it's just kind of getting, into the groove. You know what I mean? He's playing real football games. It's not training camp. You know what I mean? And even in training camp, he wasn't hitting these dots. You know what I mean? But I'm just hoping that, by the time week 1 comes around, I'm also hoping the play calling gets a little, better, and we see these plays that they've been working on, and it's just some stuff that's, because one thing Pep was doing is the play calls were just not very interesting or fun, and they weren't letting Davis really show what I was hoping to see. But I'm hoping by week 1 against the Colts, we'll see some of those plays.
A lot of this could do with his trust in the receivers as well, because I don't ever see him making these bad throws to Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
Because he trusts that Brandon Cooks is going to be where he needs to be,
Yeah.
and with at least a little bit of separation.
Exactly. I think
I need guys like Nico to start proving that to Davis so he can develop that trust and get those reps. Like,
Yeah.
You know, what did Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison, didn't they used to run routes like blindfolded?
I don't know if that's awesome though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Marvin Harrison, Peyton Manning used to run like slant routes.
That is awesome.
Absolutely blindfolded, and they would just have it down to where
that should be common. That should be like a common.
Those are two very uncommon people.
Yeah, no, true, very true. But I think you're totally right, Brandon, and also that's just I think Brandon being just a pro. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna be where he needs to be, and also that's one thing he probably knows. You know, obviously it's his quarterback. He knows where Davis likes to put it, and he's gonna get there because he's Brandon Cooks and he's a god. And he's by far probably the best player on the Houston Texans now.
I would say so.
Other than maybe Laramie Tunsil, but Brandon Cooks is probably the best player.
Another little fantasy nugget. Brandon Cooks is projected to go way later in the rounds than he should. He's the clear number one in Houston.
Yeah.
He is the only one Davis Mills can truly trust. So for the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, absolutely he is going to be getting the majority of the targets.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what we're going to do on a fantasy spectrum. Just sprinkle it here and there.
Yeah. Well, also, I don't get this thing with Brandon Cooks gets so slept on.
He always has. He did when he was in New Orleans.
Exactly,
he did when he was in LA. Like he's always slept on. He's always productive.
I know I don't think he's had a single season under 1,000 yards. Maybe I think he has a year where he had like 950 or something. But
he's always been absolutely stellar at getting separation, and he's got sticky hands.
He can catch anything. And I just what you talking about him, going low in fantasy. I'm like, why? Like also
it's projectors' belief in Davis Mills, I believe, was
probably, but I mean I get that, but also there's a lot of receivers that, dude, like these receivers that are good in the NFL, people that give them respect, even with bad quarterbacks, they're like, yeah, they're still gonna have a good year though because DeAndre Hopkins is a perfect example, dude. He was good with Brian Hoyer, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Ryan Mallett. Brock Osweiler. Like he was producing all these years, and obviously I'm not saying Brandon Cooks is as good as D-Hop because that's just not the case, but he is a very talented receiver who I don't get why they don't give him similar credit.
They almost play different positions, having DeAndre playing the X and Cooks playing the slot. But if you line up their seasons against one another, like blank player A, player B, I think you may pick Brandon Cooks' production.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's weird to me, and also I like Nico, but also national media they don't know who Nico is.
He's gonna have to prove himself.
He is gonna have to prove himself. So that's why I'm like, if I was from the outside looking in, I'd be like, Brandon Cooks is the pretty much only receiver in Houston. He's going to get, which he is, no matter, even with Nico even if Nico is good, Brandon is still going to get majority of the targets. So, well, when it comes to Davis, man, I'm with you. I think I'm on the baseline. Nothing's really changed. It's kind of what I was expecting to see in the preseason. I was kind of hoping maybe he'd come out and be lights out, and he was fine. He wasn't bad by any means.
I will say that it seems that he's carrying himself more as a leader.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it feels like, at least.
Yeah, 100%. And that's one thing he's talked about, and one thing everyone on the team talks about when asked about Davis. They're like, this is Davis's team. He's the leader. And everyone gives him that credit. I would be worried if they were like, yeah, no, Davis was fine. But if he was still kind of walking around quiet, looking shy, I would be a little worried. But he's not. Like, you can even tell if you go look at his press conferences from last year, early in the season, to his press conferences now, it's a lot. He takes a lot more accountability. He just kind of, he sounds more like a leader. He sounds like he speaks for the Houston Texans.
Sounds like a starting quarterback.
Yeah, and not just speaking for Davis Mills, rookie quarterback, but he speaks for the franchise. And that's one thing I like to see. So I'm excited. I mean, week one can't get here, soon enough. I'm excited to see what he does against the Colts week one. And also,
we're so close. We're so close.
So less than 2 weeks. Less than 2. I think we have, it's like 12 days. Oh, can't wait. Also, we kind of touched on this already, but 3-0 in the preseason.
3-0. I mean, you're going out there to win the game, I guess.
Exactly. And so And obviously it means, Lovey Smith's another kind of X factor wild card. I don't know how that's going to end up being. Hey, you know what? He's a head coach getting 3 wins against professional teams.
I think that's exactly who you want there right now, because the unit that I am not really having a ton of hope for in the Houston Texans organization is that front 7.
Yeah.
I think as soon as we play the Titans, I think everybody's going to realize how weak it kind of is.
Yeah. No, it's very weak. I mean, there's guys there. Jonathan Grenard had 8 sacks last year. He's looked amazing in camp. I'm really hoping for. I think he might be up for like a Pro Bowl year. I honestly do. I think. I think he can get those sack numbers up.
That's a projection.
I think he can. If he can get to double-digit sacks. I mean, he had 8 last year, and I think he only played 14 games. I think he was out. So if he can get, if he can just get a couple more, get a little better. Roy Lopez is another guy. He was a 6th rounder in last year's draft. He had a really good rookie year. He's just looking like a dog out there. I mean, he's in the trenches. He kind of reminds me of DJ Reader, just kind of just putting his head down and just fucking dominating the center in the middle of the line.
Lovey had some quote the other day that essentially was to the tune of, "We're going to play the guy that we think is the best right now."
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound like they're going to be, slowly moving in the rookies. It sounds like Stingley's going to be starter on day one.
Yeah. Stingley is definitely the starter there. Our the Texans defense, the secondary is kind of the least of my worries right now. Like Jalen
Petry's looking great.
Steven Nelson has had a good preseason. He made some good plays against like Deebo Samuel in the last game, which was funny actually. Steven Nelson posted the clip of him like breaking up Debo's pass, and Debo like reposted it on his IG and was like, "Try playing me for 60 minutes," like with shitting on him, And I was like, "Steven, come on, man, don't go out there Debo in the preseason." But no, like I'm liking that. But you're right, our front 7 is definitely needs some upgrades, and I'm hoping next year's draft. If we have the first overall pick, Will fucking Anderson is going to be a Houston Texan from Alabama, and he had 17 and a half sacks last year in college. He's incredible. So I'm with you there.
There's a few good defensive line prospects coming in the draft next year, and I think the Texans end up snagging one of them.
I do too. And I mean, a lot of people, I've been looking at mock drafts, like those way too early mock drafts. And I'm actually shocked how many people have us getting a defensive player. Most of them have us with the first overall pick. And I think I assumed a lot of them would have us getting C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, because Davis, people don't really believe in him too much. But no, a lot of them have us getting receivers and defensive ends. And that's what I want. That's what I want, especially if Davis has a solid year. If Davis is terrible, then C.J. Stroud, please. But, I
just don't see him being terrible.
Me neither.
I feel like his floor is higher. Like, it's just been rising and rising.
Yeah, I agree. I think his floor is. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have a player comparison to his floor right now, but I don't think it's low enough to be like, okay, well, we obviously need to draft a quarterback.
Right. Because we've discussed this before. This is a team with a lot of areas that you can improve.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like one glaring hole.
Exactly.
Right?
Which obviously a lot of people would say you need to start with your quarterback to get the quarterback right, which is true. But there's really, when we're rebuilding like we are right now, there's really no rush to me. And if Davis is serviceable, let's get it and let's build around him.
I've always thought it's so dumb, so stupid to draft a quarterback in the first round when you don't have a line yet to protect him.
Exactly.
If you don't have the line yet, then spin that fucking pick on a guard.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing about the Texans' offensive line is like Kenyon, I think, is going to be a great player. We have Laramie Tunsil at left tackle. Titus Howard, who I think is the Texans' just biggest secret. I think the league doesn't think he's good. People will say, oh, well, they need another tackle. Titus Howard's a dude.
He is a dude.
David Culley, thank you so much, David, for your service. It was great having you here.
It was fun.
He fucked his development up last year because he kept putting him at guard. He's not a guard. He's never played guard. Sorry, but like he's a right tackle and he's good when he's there. He's a first fucking round pick. He deserves to be there, and I'm excited to see what him and Laramie do. And Kenyon, and then Justin Britt is a serviceable center, and then our right guard position is
a rotating door.
Yeah, it is. It's the starter's probably going to be AJ Can. Who knows? Max Sharping will come in, or Charlie Heck, or somebody. I don't know. That's and I don't. We'll see if we'll probably draft a guard next year. I don't think we should do one and get one in like the first round or anything like that. But especially if our offensive line works this year, if it's fine, if it's like even if it's just in middle of the pack, you know what I mean? That's fine. Let's just build up that defense. I want to build up our front seven.
Give me one word before we head into break. Give me one word to describe your feelings about the Houston Texans going into the 2022 season.
Young. I'm hopeful. Hopeful. There's a lot of guys on this team that I think have the potential to. Davis is the potential. Nico has the potential. Jonathan Grenard has potential. Stingley is more than potential. Stingley is the dude.
Well, that's what we were talking about back in the draft. Remember, it was the Texans very, very clearly are favoring high ceilings rather than low floors.
Yeah, exactly.
Or high ceilings rather than high floors.
Yeah. And 100%. And so there's one thing I also love having a young team. You know what I mean? Because I love if these guys can click, then we'll see them together for years to come. Hopefully, obviously, people will leave and stuff like that. Always happens. But I really want the Texans to build a new young core. I think there's a lot of teams doing that. I think the Bengals are doing that well. I think the Bengals have this young core. They have Joe Burrow, they have Jamar Chase, they have T. Higgins. Their offensive line now is stacked. Joe Mixon, they have these guys.
Front seven is good now too.
The front seven, DJ Reader's there. Texans legend, and I'll say hashtag Texans legend as like a joke. Genuinely like a dude. He was a dude there's just guys
Here
there
forever too,
dude. Yeah, and so I that's what I want. I want to kind of build this young team that kind of can grow together, and they kind of have. That's what I love about Nico and Davis. That's why I really want Nico to work out, is because they were drafted in the same round. They've been here since day one together, basically doing everything together. It's becoming rookies and going through their seasons. And so that's one thing I'm excited to see. But yeah, just hopeful. And I'm just really, there's a lot of potential, but I'm hoping the coaching is right. I'm hoping the situation, is good enough to, let them produce.
Hopeful is definitely a good word to describe the Texans season upcoming. On the other side of the break, we are going to break down the Jimmy G news and hop around the NFL here for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, Jimmy G and the San Francisco 49ers officially restructure his contract in a way that kind of is better for both sides. Jimmy G gets a lot more guaranteed money. I think he goes from 2 to 6.5.
Yeah.
In guaranteed or signing bonus.
Yeah.
However they want to phrase it.
Yeah.
And for some reason or another, this lowers their cap hit on them.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of mumbo jumbo contract stuff in there, but you're right. This is good for both. Jimmy G becomes the highest paid backup quarterback,
and he is the backup. He is
100%.
Shanahan has already clearly said point blank, this is Trey Lance's team.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so he's 100% the backup, which I don't. Making him by far the most talented backup quarterback in the league. I mean, there's no one even close to him, because Jimmy G, I've said it, Jimmy G is a good quarterback. Jimmy G is a good player.
Also do the Texans stuff, or
what?
Blacklock just got traded.
To who? Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. All right. Well, Ross Blacklock just got traded to the Vikings. We got a 6th round pick for him. So cool. Bye, Ross. Thank you for your service.
A lot of trades happening today.
Yeah,
Saints just traded CJ Gardner-Johnson over to the Eagles for a 5th rounder, which, as somebody that's been following the Saints for a long time, I don't really understand this move, but I think the Eagles are probably going to pay him. And if the Eagles pay him right now before the season, then I understand why the Saints did it, because they love to take care of their own, and if they thought he was going to get a bag, they'll send them over.
100%. And I when it comes to that trade, I think that's probably what the plan is there. I think Philly will announce an
But if he
extension.
doesn't and he just like
How many
gets cut
years-
at the end of the season,
How many years does he have left on his contract?
maybe one.
Just one? Yeah, he'll probably get an extension, I think. They're probably going to – I feel like in the next couple days we'll get news of that.
He's a dog out there.
Yeah. Okay.
So good at pissing people off.
That's what honestly I like that from anybody in my secondary. Like so. But yeah, okay. Back to Jimmy G. Ross Blacklock was just traded to the Vikings. But by the time this came out, you know that Jimmy G and I'm not too worried about it. Ross, I was excited for him, but he's been here for a while and he just wasn't doing much. So yeah, but this Jimmy G thing is weird. I just don't. Also, he has incentives. He can make $16 million. I'm guessing that if he just comes in, if Trey goes down, which you would hate to see, or if Trey just isn't getting the job done, they can move back to Jimmy, and then he can make $16 million.
What do they even do at that point, though?
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Your Trey Lance is done at that point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, unless they're just all right, well, you're not getting it done now, but maybe you need it a little bit longer.
This team played in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, I know.
Last year. This is a win-now team.
The 49ers are what they're
They
doing.
re-signed Debo.
Yeah, they did, which is crazy. I wasn't expecting them to do that at all. But I don't know. It is weird. This Jimmy Trey thing is weird to me. I don't even know why they went and drafted Trey.
Best case scenario for the 49ers right now, Trey Lance is that guy.
Yeah.
They end up trading Jimmy G mid-season for some secondary depth to, I don't know, pick a team, the Commanders.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, Jimmy, I could definitely see him being a guy that gets traded mid-season if someone's starter goes down, something like that. But and he's a good player. Honestly, Jimmy goes to a team, he makes that team a good amount better. I think. I personally, I
depends on the team, but yeah,
for sure. I mean, if you have nothing, I mean, I even think if God forbid something happened to Davis, if Jimmy became a Texan, I think he would
light it up.
Not light it up, but he would make us
a better team,
better.
A better team,
and not just a little bit better, like a solid amount better.
Jimmy G's a good quarterback.
Yeah, Jimmy G is a good quarterback. But yeah, so Jimmy G restructures, staying with the Niners. That's kind of something we've been wondering about for a while. What's going to happen there? So excited to kind of see that wrap up.
You were moving on here. You were taking a peek over at the NFL Top 100 list that just kind of came through.
Yeah,
and you weren't loving it, were you?
No,
especially this top 10 that just dropped.
Well, so the top 10 players, I'll list them real quick. It's Tom Brady, Aaron Donald, Aaron Rodgers, Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor, T.J. Watt, Devontae Adams, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Ramsey, and Travis Kelce. It's a fine list. One thing that I kind of want to get through this quick, but I think Josh Allen deserves to be there somewhere.
You said he was at 13?
He was 13th on the list, and that's pretty low.
I think there's a few people that don't belong here. I think Jonathan Taylor is far too high. I think Aaron Donald is by far the number one. I don't know why we keep pitting Tom Brady there.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is not number 3.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, I don't know.
I love Cooper Kupp. I love his route running. I love the way he handles himself.
Yeah.
That was a fluke season. Having this man as the 4th best player in the entire league is blasphemy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It's just a weird list to me. And
Patrick Mahomes is 8. What are we doing?
No, exactly? Like you have Patrick Mahomes. You have Jonathan Taylor. You have Cooper Kupp, and these two guys had huge years last year. But it's weird to me they're 4 and 5 and above Patrick, who's just been dominant for so long. So
not a single offensive lineman on there either.
That is weird. That is very weird. But all right. Well, we talked about that. I just wanted to touch on that real quick. We'll also talk about the
NFL and their bullshit ratings.
Yeah, seriously. And also, we'll talk about Mike Tomlin. He's been
our dude, our guy.
Love Mike. He's the best. But the quarterback situation there in Pittsburgh has been interesting. And it's Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, who they drafted in the first round this past year. Kenny Pickett, the first quarterback taken in the draft. Kenny Pickett's had a solid preseason.
I think Mike Tomlin is in a Love Island situation. He promised his heart over to Mitch Trubisky, and then somebody somebody hot and new walked in the villa and he said, "Oh shit, maybe my head's turning. Maybe my head's turning because Kenny Pickett looks like the best quarterback that's coming out of this draft." Desmond Ridder actually looked really well really good in preseason as well. But Kenny Pickett looks like a guy that could be starting week 1.
Yeah.
But then again, we don't know what's going on inside the clubhouse. We don't know how well this man understands all the schemes, all, the blocking packages, things around that, things that, a vet like Mitch would probably be able to pick up faster. Yeah. But we keep talking about floors and ceilings. Pickett's ceiling, we know what Trubisky's ceiling is.
Yeah, right.
Pickett's ceiling is much higher. So we may see a couple games of Mitch, and then whenever the Steelers are getting blown out by 30, Pickett comes in and never comes out.
Yeah. I mean, so do you think Mitch is getting the starting job week 1?
I think so.
Yeah. I think Kenny Pickett gets it.
You do?
Yeah, I do. I think Mike has been he's almost annoyed by getting asked this question so much. And I think I think it's because I think he wants Kenny, and I think it's just a lot of, conversations going on inside that building. But
Bengals week 1, Patriots week 2, Browns week 3 for the Steelers. So that could be a gauntlet that sees the end of Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, maybe the Bears organization is that bad and Mitch Trubisky comes out slinging.
Maybe. I mean, Mitch hasn't been bad at all in the preseason. Both of them have been pretty good. Both of them, and Mike Tomlin gets the best out of his guys, so I'm not surprised by that. But
and that's kind of a good segue into our Would You Rather.
Yeah. Fantasy football edition. This is just a quick game to wrap up this episode, where basically we have quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and tight ends. Two players, and we just got to pick which one we'd rather have.
It's draft season, baby.
It is. It's coming up.
Fire up them laptops. Go to the bar. Get the fucking obnoxiously big board where you slap the stickers on. I love fantasy drafts.
Yeah, me too. I draft on Sunday for one of my leagues.
Oof.
So
I draft tomorrow for the one I've been in for like 7 years.
Shit. All right, little bro. Let's say we'll start with quarterbacks. You have to have a quarterback lead you into week 1, and these are your two options.
And this is fantasy.
This is fantasy,
okay.
Not real, but fantasy. Justin Fields or Trey Lance?
Trey Lance by a mile.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I almost Trey Lance has weapons, but I think Justin Fields might.
Who the fuck's Justin Fields going to throw it to?
Who knows?
Darnell Mooney?
True. But I think Justin Fields, people are kind of sleeping on him a little bit. I think he's getting slept on a little bit.
We're not sleeping on Justin Fields. We're sleeping on the Chicago Bears organization.
Which is totally understandable, which I get. Trey Lance is probably going to be that dude, but I wouldn't count Justin Fields out. I wouldn't count him out. All right, running backs.
I am, but we'll move on.
Running backs, Derrick Henry or Austin Eckler?
I don't see. This is almost a disrespectful question to me. It's Derrick Henry. Far and behold, he has proven year in year out that he will grind out points. He had one injury for the first time last year. He didn't even miss the whole season.
That's
Austin
true.
Eckler, he's a guy, but he's not that dude.
Yeah.
I in every single one of my fantasy drafts, I see him going top 5.
Yeah.
Not in a million years would I take this guy top 5.
Who, Eckler?
Yep.
Dude, I'm taking him top 5.
Nope.
I mean, I have the third pick in my draft. If Henry's available, if they're both available, I'm taking Henry. But Eckler's not a bad top 5 pick, I don't think. He's going to get the carries.
And somebody else everybody seems to be sleeping on. I don't know why we're all forgetting, because he's not getting suspended now, was Alvin Kamara.
Alvin Kamara is great, but he could be a 6 or 7 pick, I think. I think if you have the 6th or 7th pick, if you have the 6th or 7th pick, we can do it. But, all right. We'll do one more.
We're getting pushed out of here. We're going to do one more for it.
Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson?
Ooh, the LSU boys. Chase had an awesome season last year, but Jefferson holds an amount of talent in his pocket that I don't think we've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, I like both of them, but I think I would take Justin too.
Awesome, guys.
All right, guys. Well, we're done. That's our time. Thank you all so much for tuning in.
We will be back next week for another installment of Off the Gridiron. Y'all viewing then.